Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Рады
Good
приветствовать.
morning, dear colleagues. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the press center of the ministry that you are very well familiar with. Today we're having the briefing of the Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights, Maria Lvova-Belova. Let me remind you that in your armrests you have microphones as well as headphones. We are being broadcast live on the website of the ministry as well as on our social media. Also, you have the option to listen to the interpretation into 3 foreign languages. Right now, I will give the floor to Madam Lvova-Belova, and then you will have an opportunity to ask your questions. Good morning. I would like to thank everyone who chose to come here on this Monday morning at 9:30. I also thank everyone who is watching us live. I thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for giving us the platform to speak to the media. Protecting children, being open and transparent in our work is the priority of the institution of the Commissioner for Children's Rights. We have already met here, it was on the 4th of April, and right now it's our second briefing. Last time I went into great detail about our activities on protecting children during the special military operation and answered your questions. Today we're going to focus on recent events. The institution of the Commissioner is primarily tasked with protecting children in the Russian Federation, but in accordance with the federal law defining the remit of children's commissioners, we also assist in developing international cooperation for protecting the rights and interests of children. Despite the unprecedented sanctions, pressure, and disinformation around Russia, we're going to talk about it, our international agenda has expanded during the last year, and today we're going to speak about our activities in Syria, Africa, CIS, South Ossetia, Abkhazia, and naturally I'm going to tell you about our activities during the special military operation. Yesterday, a flight landed, bringing 34 children back to Russia from Syria. My team have been working in harsh conditions. These children were in refugee camps in the northeast of Syria. After a medical checkup at a federal clinic and rehabilitation, they will be handed over to their families in Russia, who are looking forward to having them back. We've been coordinating this work since 2018. On the instructions of the President, we have been evacuating children from armed conflicts areas in Syria and Iraq. Russia has managed to bring 513 children back. Over that time, we are going to continue to work on this track. We have documents ready for 150 children, but every day we receive more and more appeals from parents and family members looking for their children in the northeast of Syria. We are also cooperating with Syria on the humanitarian track. During my last visit, we helped orphanages. We brought a ton of humanitarian aid and will continue working on that track. With the approval of the President and the blessing of Patriarch Kirill, we have been carrying out charity projects in Africa, primarily in healthcare and education. It is a milestone in the work of our office. The details of this cooperation have been discussed at our humanitarian platform during the Russia-Africa Summit. Together with the Russian Orthodox Church, we are getting ready to open humanitarian headquarters at the parishes where families with children will get water, food, medicines, clothes, and so on. And we're also going to start courses on teaching children to read, count, and write, and we also see great potential in opening orphanages. We have already launched 4 initiatives, 3 in Kenya and 1 in the DRC, including organizing a computer class, as well as opening a medical clinic at an orphanage. We build poultry houses with incubators, open maize farms for families with children. On our agenda, we also have cooperation with the Commonwealth of Independent States countries. This year, the Committee of CIS Commissioners for Children's Rights created at the initiative of Russia. The committee involves commissioners and other authorized persons from Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. The first meeting took place in June. I was elected president. On the 1st of November, me and my colleagues are going to meet in Minsk, and we are going to discuss our experiences, share our expertise, and everyone will present their own vision on protecting children's rights in different countries. We continue our humanitarian cooperation with Abkhazia. This involves providing humanitarian aid and working with professionals. We are preparing a visit of a group of doctors specializing in areas that are not covered in Abkhazia. South Ossetia is a new venue of our work. Recently, I have visited the Republic, and this visit already bears fruit. A group of children visited our The Day After Tomorrow camp. 2 groups of medical professionals went to South Ossetia to examine children. There is a great demand for that. Right now, we are preparing a group to undergo treatment in Russian federal clinics. We also hold workshops for our South Ossetian colleagues on teaching children and teenagers with severe and multiple disorders. We provide medicines, humanitarian aid, rehabilitation equipment, as well as various other technical means for children with disability. I'll now move on to protecting children during the special military operation, something that interests the media very much. Over these 18 months, the scope of problems have changed, but some tasks remain the same. They have to do with humanitarian assistance and assisting in reunification of families. I have paid 9 visits to these new regions. Initially, the priority was to provide immediate, urgent assistance. But right now, together with the authorities, we are working on establishing a system of protecting children on a systematic basis and implement our strategic programs. In early April 2022, we launched the project To the Hands of Children to provide targeted assistance based on requests from specific families. 5 humanitarian headquarters were opened in each of the new regions and another one in Mariupol. We have organized 27 humanitarian convoys. Targeted assistance was delivered to around 13,000 people. 240 tons of aid was delivered, totaling about 164 million rubles. This year alone, we have received 3 requests from families with children for targeted assistance. About 120 families get such help every month. When their fathers have been killed, when families have a lot of children, we help them with refurbishing their houses, buying new houses or cars. When a family needs it, when a family becomes bigger. We have had a case in the Zaporozhye Oblast. Family members were killed, and a woman had to raise 4 children of her sister in addition to her own 4 children. Therefore, the family needed a large car, and we replied to that request positively. This targeted assistance is very necessary for families, for people. Life is returning back to peace right now. We are equipping an arts school as well as resuming ballet classes in Mariupol. We build outdoor sports facilities. We are being trustees for various children's institutions in the Donetsk People's Republic, the Lugansk People's Republic, in the Zaporozhye Oblast. It matters to us to preserve the infrastructure, help them in refurbishing their facilities, and build the equipment that is needed. To train professionals who work with children, we organize medical checkups on site to examine the children. When we last went there was a boy who was diagnosed with development disorder, and it turned out that he merely had hearing problems. He couldn't hear the instructions and couldn't understand what was wanted of him. Right now, he's going to receive the necessary treatment, and we believe that it will be a quality life. New regions are continuing to suffer from military aggression from Ukraine. Children get killed, children get injured, and we help in organizing emergency medical assistance and rehabilitation of children. We bring these children to federal clinics, buy the necessary equipment. The last time we brought a device for wound therapy, for accelerated wound therapy. I believe some of you have heard about Kirill, a boy of 16 who came under shelling in the Donetsk People's Republic in Gorlovka. He received severe injuries. His mother requested my help via one of the TV channels. I visited him in the DPR in a hospital. Right now he has been placed at a medical center in Moscow, underwent surgery. He is going through rehabilitation and feeling much better. If you've been following this situation, you can feel happy for him. In the new regions, we have been developing the institution of commissioners for children's rights in order to be more systemic in our work. The law of about the commissioner have already been adopted in the DPR and the LPR. As for the other two of our new regions, these are advisors to the heads of the region who are currently tasked with this, but we hope that the positions of commissioners will be established soon. We implement our strategic programs in the regions. Before the end of the year, 4 teenage centers in Makeyevka, Mariupol, Lugansk, and Belovodsk will be opened. The teenagers will be able to both have fun and do something useful with their time. It will be a chance for them to shape the requests for what they need. In Belovodsk, a special emphasis will be placed on providing psychological assistance. The professionals have already underwent training. As for the families who have disabled children, Lugansk is about to open a daycare center for such children, and such centers are going to open throughout the Republic. Moreover, we provide assistance to the authorities of new regions in building the work of guardianship authorities, and we have organized training programs for professionals working with children with autism spectrum disorders. We continue organizing rehabilitation camps for children who have gone through war and need psychological assistance. 11 such camps have been organized with 1,989 children who visited them. After going home from those camps, children stay in touch. Some of them return as camp leaders, and maybe one day they will take up the mantle a few years later. It is a chance for them to adapt to new conditions, to learn Russia better, to find an opportunity to build your own future and make friends, as well as choose your future profession and the university of their dreams. These camps have become a community the day after tomorrow. In late November, we intend to organize a festival at the International Exhibition Forum Russia that will take place at the VDNH Expo. We continue working to reunite families that have been torn apart by fighting. President Putin said, "We have never been against children being reunited with their families if their family members turn up. We've never made any obstacles to that and will never do so." This is our position, and we have been unwavering in that. Reuniting families is something we have been doing since the beginning of the special military operation in a consistent and open manner. We work on the requests we receive, we help find children if it is necessary, although in most cases children stay with their close family members and the parents know where their children are. We provide assistance in finalizing papers, in paperwork. We accompany the family members in Russian. We help with translation and notarization of documents, transportation accommodation, providing food, mobile connection, DNA analysis, if there is no chance to confirm the kinship with documents. We also cooperate with the International Committee of the Red Cross doing that. We have built a working channel of communication with Ukraine, with relevant officials to exchange the data, to verify the data, and to coordinate our work. 32 cases, 32 requests, which is not a lot, and I am grateful for our constructive engagement. We have created an algorithm for reuniting children with their families. First, obtaining the name of the missing child and the data of the applicant and the child's presumed location. Dear colleagues, let me reiterate. The lists, this is something we pay great attention to. We need the list of who is looking for the child. If we only have the data for the child, this list is impossible to verify. Is this child really in Russia, or is it a fake story? That is why, as the President has pointed out, we only work on cases when it is close family members or parents who are looking for the children. Then we send a request to the Russian Ministry of the Interior to verify the location or make additional requests to other agencies in Russia and abroad. If the child is in Russia, the Office of the Commissioner sends a request to the constituent entity of the Russian Federation to visit the minor and confirm this information. Then, after that, there is the coordination of the position and list of documents and authorized regional government entities. Next, requesting the necessary documents from Ukraine, verifying the legal grounds for reunification, and after that, there is the coordination of transfer specifics from the Ukrainian side with the ICRC if necessary. We receive lists through various channels, but the key problem is that their information is often not verified or up to date. For example, when we have the data of a parent or a family member, then we contact them and provide assistance. Typically, it's 1 or 2 months that we manage to get all the issues settled and agree on the transfer, provided there are no legal barriers. If there are, the process may take longer than that. Typically, the Russian-Latvian and the Russian-Estonian borders are used for entering Russia when families are reunited. Possible exit points also include our border with Belarus. Both family members and authorized persons can come to pick up the children. 35 children from 24 families have reunited with their families living in Ukraine and other countries. That is excepting the children who were sent to the health resorts in Crimea and the Krasnodar Krai by their parents. This is something I'm going to talk about a bit later. Let me also share a recent story I took part in on Friday. We have handed over a grandson to his grandmother. It's not a typical situation. The boy came here with his mother and stepfather. Then the mother found herself under investigation, and the boy found himself in an orphanage. The grandmother came to Russia, and then they were transferred to the border. I hope they will be at home very soon. A few days ago, we have helped reunite a boy with his mother. The mother put her son in a hospital, then the front line changed and they found themselves apart. Then the mother expressed her wish to take the boy, and we have worked on this project together with Ukraine. We have agreed upon the list of the necessary documents. We met the mother, helped with the transfer, and soon they will go back to Ukraine. Colleagues, we work whenever there are legal grounds, whenever there is specific information. When we have some ephemeral lists, some ephemeral accusations that have no grounds to substantiate it, this is not something we get involved with because we don't have the necessary resources. When we receive a specific list which only includes last names, it's impossible to do. Typically, sometimes it turns out to be fake. Our office have called the phone numbers that were given to us, and it turned out that the children are either back with their families in the early stages of the special military operation, or maybe some of the families living in the EU are trying to talk to us in a rude manner, and they say, it's your 100th call, we have been reunited with the child, we need no help. It's essential to understand that in the overwhelming majority of the situation, the child is with one of their parents or with some family members. It's about family disputes. The mother is in Russia, and the father is in Ukraine, or vice versa, or the child is with grandparents. And we check every specific situation. The difficulties arise when there are no documents, or there are problems with transportation, or there are family disputes when the mother and father cannot agree on who the child is supposed to be with, and my employees have been mediators and have been manually bringing mothers from Ukraine because the father is here in Russia, the parents are divorced, the child wanted to get back to Ukraine, but then and then the child chose to get back to Ukraine with their mother, and this is something we helped with during that process.
We even work in cases when there is no documentary confirmation of kinship. In late August, we had the reunification of a boy with a woman from Ukraine. The woman could not take her grandson from the boarding facility because he was not included into the birth certificate. But we held a DNA test, we confirmed the kinship, and I personally went to Kherson region and passed the boy to his grandmother. These are very touching videos. I would like to share them with you. Grandmother, hello, my dear. Are you glad? I am very glad. My sweet, thank you. Thank you to all of you. Grandmother, have you missed me? We will go home, yes? Yes, my sweetie. Your grandmother is here. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Such a small, great joy. We regularly publish the stories about reunification in social media in order to demonstrate that the process is underway if a parent wants to reunite with his child. For them not to be afraid to address us, because in many cases relatives come for their children with the help of Ukrainian volunteers, and then we have to help the return with border services to prepare documents, because this has not been developed, the process has not been developed, and the relatives are caught by border guards, and they present themselves not for who they really are, and all that comes to us. We need to help in an urgent way and make a lot of efforts to disentangle. So, dear colleagues, we request you, there is an official mechanism, nothing to be afraid of. We are ready to participate in any case when there are relatives on that side, and here there is a child, and we call on you to use the official channels. There are cases when relatives try to steal illegally a child from other relatives, and it's a violation of legislation. And the Ukrainian authorities also complicate the process of reunification. And the difficulty is also the withdrawal of Ukraine from the Minsk Convention. It complicates the resolution of family disputes. I do not know why they did it. When it comes to children, bridges should not be burned but constructed. And we began to receive claims, requests for return of the children, Russian children who are in Ukraine. We have 17 such cases, and there has recently been a unification of a mother and a daughter when the Ukrainian authorities collected the child from his father. She was in a residential facility. Now the child is with her father, and I hope everything will be fine. Now everyone is concerned about the children who were sent to the Republic of Crimea and the Krasnodar region for recreation, but the front line shifted, and there were difficulties to collect the children. Those were financial problems connected with several borders that needed to be passed, and problems with men not being allowed from Ukraine, and mothers staying with disabled children or small children and unable to do that. of 2,360 children. On the 3rd of April 2023, there were 38 children. On the 19th of April, there were 6, and 3 on the 29th of May. And now there is only one 17-year-old teenager remaining in Crimea. He's studying at a Russian university, and it's the request of his parents. He stay on the territory of the Russian Federation. I hope this issue can be closed. We have worked on that completely. We bought telephones. We helped to maintain their connection with their parents, with their relatives. Now it is only one teenager, 17-year-old in a university. He will soon turn 18 and take the decision himself. Now many people follow the story of 13 children from a correctional residential facility in Kupiansk, found in underground by Russian military in autumn 2022. Only 3 of them had documents. Information was recorded from their words that complicated the search of relatives very much. We had a meeting with colleagues and discussed the stages of the search, and currently all the children have been passed on to their parents. Now there was a case when the mother called from a border service, informed that she was collecting her child from Kupiansk. With the help of volunteers, we helped her. She visited us. From our study, she found the school where her child was situated. It was a very touching call. A year has passed since the previous call. They did not hear each other. The mother was very grateful, and we said that mother should not be afraid. But as soon as she crossed the border with Ukraine, her rhetoric changed. We understand that. We know that those women easily to be intimidated. They will continue their life in Ukraine. It's important for them not to have any further problems. I would underline that the Committee of Red Cross provides significant aid to us, as its representatives accompany the families on the territory of Russia and Belarus. But strange as it may seem, Ukraine itself is extremely reluctant to work with the ICRC representatives in this sphere. So if you have the ICRC representative contacts, please, these are our partners, do not be afraid of that. I think that the recent statements by the UN Office for Human Rights representatives are surprising. It's about the lack of proper return system of Ukrainian children taken to Russia. We have an organized mechanism, but we again hear accusations and dissatisfactions, but we do not know the basis of these statements. You can trace our actions here, the whole procedure. Now we have additional support by Qatar, the first country that has become an official partner. I will speak about the mechanism of our interaction a little bit later and how they support us in humanitarian issues. We know that if people want to study the details, they participate in the process. We see the politicizing of the situation by Ukraine, so-called information bubble around our activities. Those fakes complicate the work and create distrust to relatives, among relatives and parents with regard to Russia's actions. So among those fakes is 19,000 children, but we have checked the data many times. We have seen that many things do not match there. Some children have already been passed. Some children, for example, we call their grandmothers. She said she does not have such a grandchild. So you need to check everything you publish. During the latest press conference, I presented our bulletin. Now it is has some added information, current information. It is available in English and in Russian. If you do not have the printed version, you can read it on our website, deti.gov.ru, and in social networks. It is a source of truth. Please distribute it. So everyone is equal before the court. It does not have nationalities, regardless whether the children are Abkhazian, African, Russian, Ukrainian, Syrian. These children need safety, care, warmth, and family environment. And we see our mission there. We do not look at nationality, religion, or views of parents. We are used to that. So the information we provide with evidence, supporting documents, photos and videos is turned a blind eye by Russia's detractors. And our actions are called almost genocide. President Zelensky, during his address to the UN Assembly, again spoke about 100,000, so to say, abducted children. We know about many children abducted by Russia on the occupied territories of Ukraine and deported. It is a lie. I tell that officially. There are no thousands of children. He does not have names. It's a myth. It is easily confirmed. Just to find those who make those statements and to find out the details. So misinformation by the Ukrainian regime, speculation on children, and the choice is before you. You can present the truth to your readers, to your viewers, or participate in a campaign to promote fakes and disinformation. That is all. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, dear journalists. Now you have an opportunity to ask questions. Tas, please. You have a microphone in your armrest. Please do not hurry. We are here for you. The Institute of an Ombudsperson implements a strategic program for teenager spaces in Russia. You have spoken about 4 teenager spaces in new regions, and as a person who was born there, I can confirm that it is necessary. So are more teenager spaces planned, and what will the aim be? So it's our strategic program all over Russia. It's a large country. We do not highlight some regions. We try to inaugurate at least one teenager center, and it will be under the supervision of adults. Someone asks for sports, someone for professional orientation, someone for a cafe to drink a cup of tea with friends, to play games. So we just stem from requests. There has been a competition for more centers to be opened in the regions, and I'm sure that our new regions will be a priority. We will continue this work. Please introduce yourself. Good afternoon. That's El Mayadin, Shaita Masalam. President Putin compared the blockade of Gaza with the blockade of Leningrad, and the West, headed by the US, justifies this blockade. How Do you estimate the double policy of the West, and is there a program of help to children of Gaza? As of today, we have not had requests on this issue. If they appear, we will participate in that. Regarding the commentary on the current situation, it's not my topic, and I have decided for myself that politics should be outside humanitarian aid to children. If our aid is requested, we will participate, as we do that in other countries, especially with the situation now in Gaza. Let us come back to Russian journalists. Ria, please. Madam Lvova-Belova, you have spoken about 34 children returned from Syrian camps. I would like to learn more about further plans in this direction. The situation is complex there. The transportation of those children was very complicated. In fact, for our team, they were bombed. The airspace was bombed, and we had an impression that we will not be able to do that. We would not be able to do that. They are now under supervision in a hospital in Moscow, supervised by psychologists, psychotherapists, and it is important for us for children to feel well in their new families. They have lived through many things. It's important for a child to have an individual rehabilitation plan. In medicine, in education, and those blank spaces, they're important. It's mostly with the grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts and uncles, but there are cases of fathers looking for their children, or mothers having left with the children. It's important for the process of rehabilitation to be underway, to make them full-fledged society members. It's one of our major tasks. I will share my impressions when we left the airplane. One little girl said, will grandmother come to us today? All children speak Russian. It's a possibility of normal life for them. Just to eat normally, such possibility. Because I spoke about that, I offered them lunch with chicken and so on, but they denied, refused. When they passed the bread, they just had 10 pieces because they did not know about any other food. It's just assistance to adapt in new conditions. La Repubblica, Italy. Hello, that's Rosalba Castelletti, La Repubblica.
Matteo Zuppi, yes. Sorry, I will ask the question in English. In June, you had a meeting with Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, who brought up the issue of Ukrainian children currently in Russia. Since Cardinal Zuppi is set to return to Moscow, have you planned a new meeting with him? Is there an agreement in place regarding the return of some of these children to Ukraine? If so, how many? And can you confirm a just published Financial Times report about the deal brokered by Qatar with you to reunite for Ukrainian children with their families? Thank you.
As for the Cardinal, we have indeed met. We have agreed to cooperate. As for the next meeting, so far we have not discussed that yet. I hope that our cooperation will be fruitful in the interests of the children. I will not uncover the details, but we have been engaging in a very active manner, and I am grateful to Vatican for their attention to that topic. As for Qatar and the idea of reunification and their participation, this is something I spoke about in my introductory remark. This country is indeed an intermediary for us and is actively involved in the reunification effort. What matters most is that we have realized that they care about this process and they are trying to learn all the particulars, all the tiniest minute details. A bit later, we will share the results of our cooperation. Let us give the floor to the Media Alliance of Russian Communities. Good afternoon, Valery Lebedev. Madam Lvova-Belova, you are doing something heroic. In the last 30 years, I have gone 1.5 million kilometers throughout the EU, and I have never seen anyone doing such a great thing as you are doing. The young people there are threatened by the onslaught of the LGBT agenda and so on. And there is another category of children that require protection. The children and grandchildren of our compatriots. Right now, in the world, there are 270 million Russian-speaking people. 150 million, let's round this up, 150 million of them live here in Russia. That is, there are over 100 million of our compatriots living abroad. And this number includes children. Right now, we've been here for about 45 minutes, and our children and grandchildren who have to go to school there, they receive harmful information. And harmful is putting it mildly. These children need protection. In Ukraine, these are those who were born in this century who fight against us. Children grow up fast. We need to prevent a problem in the future that children and grandchildren of our compatriots, influenced by the nefarious impact of the West, might become our adversaries. That's problem number one. Problem number two, we need to protect our children from our two kind grandmothers. At school, a grandmother, an old lady, is bending to tie the shoelaces of her grandson. On buses, grandmothers give up their seats to their grandchildren, even though these seats are intended for the elderly, but also for weak children. And these children grow up weak, very weak. As for the after-war generation, then the grandmother, no matter whether she is Armenian, Jewish, or Tatar, grandmother was someone who hosted everyone as if they were her own grandchildren. Let me answer to the first question about the children of our compatriots. We want to help everyone. I think it is a constant worry in my heart, but it's about the choice of legal representatives. These children are accompanied by their parents. It is their choice and their responsibility. As for our involvement, let me tell you about the Ukrainian children who are currently in the EU, who have faced the problem of juvenile justice when children are taken away from their families. The only thing we can help them with is providing legal assistance, because sometimes these families are not citizens of their respective countries. And we see what's going on in those countries. We see the pressure exerted against our children. We have studied the issue of bullying in the EU, and we have received requests for assistance. But the only thing we can do is urge various organizations to pay attention to this issue. However, me and Minister Lavrov have agreed that we are going to help our compatriots establish Russian schools. We also have our other channels of providing assistance to our compatriots, and when it comes to children, we will closely follow these situations and will provide relevant assistance. As for the grandmother issue, it's about attitude. It's about the public attitude to the issue. For many of us, the grandmothers embodied happiness and warmth. And I believe everyone has a story about waking up in the morning visiting their grandmother. We smelled pancakes and felt so happy, and we still remember those days. If this topic is dear to your heart, you can become its champion, and you can try to launch a project in Russia to raise awareness about the need to treat grandmothers with the respect that is their due. Let us give the floor to the American media, ABC, NBC, ABC. CBS maybe? All right, if that's your choice. CBS it is. Good morning, thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for virtually replying to our question in your introductory remarks. You have mentioned that the UNHCR is very concerned with the fact that there is no system for bringing Ukrainian children back to their homes. Can you please go into greater detail about the methodology of communication with Ukraine, how you engage with them on returning children back homes? We engage with the relevant agency. I cannot give you the specifics, the names. We cherish this channel of communication, but it is a relevant agency tasked with this topic. Via this official channel, we have received 32 requests. These are specific cases with specific family members who request our assistance. Every week, my office and the office of that agency engage on every specific. I have heard the specifics, which documents are missing, how much time it will take to procure them, how much time is necessary for Russia, for Ukraine, which humanitarian corridors will be used, where they will need to be accompanied, what material assistance, providing accommodation, hotel accommodation. When the grandmother on Friday came to Russia, she was very tired, and we organize hotel accommodation for them in order to make it easier for them. They address us via various channels of communication, including through these official Ukrainian agencies, through volunteers, including Ukrainian volunteers, or directly from parents and other family members who want to be reunited with their children. After these requests, we verify that it is true and genuine. We prepare the package of documents, and then we accompany the children, the families, via humanitarian corridors. We involve the ICRC, if necessary, to make it easier for them, because there are many fakes, there are many scarecrows, and these mothers are very often terrified when they come to Russia, being afraid of being tortured or undergoing something equally as terrible. That's the attitude that is rather prevalent, and we would like to show during this briefing that we are open in the process of reunification of families. When they get back to Ukraine, they tell different stories altogether. This is why we involve the ICRC and other intermediaries, including Qatar and Vatican. It's essential for us to prevent fear among people. We want them to see that the process is set up, is functioning normally. We would like to reiterate that there are no dozens, let alone hundreds of thousands of people who have been deported and are being held in Russia against their will. Armenian office passed. Mariam Ovsepan, thank you for your work, Madam Lvova-Belova. Everyone is equal in God's eyes. There are no nationalities for God, and I would like to touch upon the issue of the children in Nagorno-Karabakh that have suffered something terrible back in 2020 and are suffering it now. Let me give you an example. 2 brothers were killed. One of them was 10, the other was 8. Naver and Mikhail. It is a tragic story. Their 3rd brother was injured. After that, naturally, everyone has gadgets, including children. They watch the TV, they know what's going on. while they were trying to leave their homeland, they have suffered a lot of harrowing experiences. The Armenians living in Nagorno-Karabakh are probably the most pro-Russian people in the entirety of the post-Soviet space. They have perfect command of the Russian language. They are closer to the Russian culture. In the nearest future, a lot of them will move to Russia, I believe, including because their families moved here after the First Karabakh War, and there are many reasons why they might find themselves here. I don't have a question. I have a request to instruct the Federal Migration Service to transfer the information about the children who came to Russia, including, if possible, sharing this information with us, with Armenian organizations in Russia, so that we could get involved, so that we could help. Also, if you have any intention or a desire to help these children in Armenia, can we contact some of your colleagues in order to consider the options of providing assistance, because basic psychological assistance is definitely something these children need. Thank you. Thank you for your suggestion. I think it is possible. As for the children, definitely. We can request this data, and after that there is the matter of protection of personal data, but it is subject to discussion. That was point number 1. Number 2. As soon as this unrest started, we immediately came up with our suggestion of help, along with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The matter of protecting children and Armenia is near and dear to our hearts. My deputy is an ethnic Armenian, and when we can provide some specific assistance, we do so. Agence France Presse, please. Is Agency France Presse here with us? The speaker is not using their mic. We have heard a number of numbers, but still some questions remain. I have heard the data about neglected children from Mariupol. Specific numbers range a lot. It's not exactly clear who is against this reunification. Is there a number of children who are observed by you in the 5 regions that have become neglected, who do not have parental supervision, or maybe some of them are accused of being in contact with Ukraine, or maybe you decided that you don't trust some specific channels or requests? The 4 regions have become part of our large country, and we not have a separate registry. There are no neglected children in Russia. They are either in institutions and have a legal representative, the head of the institution, or are placed in foster care in families. As for the children in Mariupol and the group that is mentioned in the bulletin, I believe that we provided a lot of details as to who is where. What matters to us is to shape the family environment for the children. It is a priority for our country. It is a matter of socialization. Family environment is the best for children, and we follow this principle and endeavor to make sure that children are placed in foster care rather than in institutions, which does not prevent children from being returned to their families or to their blood relatives if they are found. Right now, there is a handful of examples. I have already told you the story of the mother from the Kherson region who came and took her child. There were no problems there whatsoever. When relatives are found, we work on these cases, but all of these children are either placed in social institutions with caretakers, but the priority is to ensure family placement. If it's possible, we do it. We do not follow these statistics. You can take a look at the social institutions. You can take a look at the report of the Ministry of Education about each and every region in Russia. There will be statistics about the children who are on the federal database and are placed in social institutions. These numbers change all the time. You can probably understand that. That is why there is no need to follow it all the time. In the 5th row, please. NBC News, the United States. I believe he's younger than me. Maybe. I haven't checked. Please, do go ahead. You go first. In May this year, we asked you about the destiny of the children from the Kherson orphanage, and then you told us that they were evacuated to Crimea and you're looking for their families. In August this year, a senator from the Kherson region, Konstantin Basyuk, said that these children are getting back to the Kherson region, but to a new location. Has this transfer been completed yet? Are you continuing to look for their families? Have you found any of these families? We closely follow the situation around these children. They are currently in Crimea. Recently, a group of medical professionals went there for a medical checkup, medical assessment, because most of these children belong to the 3rd or 4th group of health. That means multiple and severe disorders. Only a handful of them do not need any medical assistance. As for the transfer to the Kherson Oblast, we closely follow the situation. The refurbishment is underway in the building where the children will be placed. Maybe by the end of the year, this transfer will be made possible. As for looking for their families, I have taken a look at the lists personally, and the mother who came to Russia and took her child, which has multiple severe disorders, is a mother who was on that list. As soon as such cases appear, we work on them. And I'd like to tell you another story. We have found a mother in the Kherson Oblast who left her child in the care of an institution. Right now, her situation is more stable. We are verifying that, and she is ready to take her child back. We work even on such cases. We help them resolve various situations, including their lodging issues, because right now she has another child, and we want these children to have families. As soon as we find relatives, we work non-stop on that. These children have been in this institution since 2020 or 2021. These are not the children who found themselves in this institution during the special military operation. These children had been there for a long time. Dear colleagues, please introduce yourself. We have been live for over an hour. A few more questions. Yes, your turn. Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you very much. Madam Lvova-Belova, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you, like grown-ups, about child issues. It is always nice to have such an opportunity. I would like to have these opportunities on a regular basis. We serve the children. It is our duty forever. I have two questions. I am from the USSR newspaper from Tajikistan, Shamsuddin Boboev. Question number 1. This bulletin is being circulated in the CIS countries, and there is an English version, and I suggest that this could be translated to other languages as well, including into Ukrainian, Uzbek, Tajik, Kyrgyz. Why is that necessary? Because I have been studying the issue for 20 years. people under 30 in CIS countries do not always have the perfect command of Russian. It would be nice to translate this bulletin into our languages. I'm ready to cooperate, and I'm ready to translate this bulletin into 2 of these languages. I also have another question. According to the legislation, some people, some grown-ups, like you and I are grown-ups, can get deported for 25 or 50 years from Russia, according to the federal law number 114. Why are these people to blame for that? It's not up to me. Some of them commit crimes, but some of these people have children, aged 1, 2, or 3. The only document they have is their birth certificate. You and I are grown-ups, and we leave these children without their motherland, without their citizenship, and so on and so forth. When we deport their parents for 50 years, this child can only get these parents can get back to Russia only 50 years later, and their children will already be 50 or over 50. I have prepared a document, and I would like to hand it over to you. The question is, I have something to ask of you. What kind of articles of the Penal Code provide the punishment of deporting people from Russia, a very humane country, for 25 to 50 years? Why do we leave Russian children whose parents are also Russians? Why are we leaving them in such a situation? Thank you. I hope to see you again.
Thank you very much for your kind words. With regard to the translation of our bulletin, we will be very grateful. The more we distribute it, the better. The first bulletin has been translated into several other languages, but if you support us into languages, I will be grateful. Regarding the deportation, regarding the adults, I will not comment because it's not my duties, and I'm not ready to comment anything here. Regarding the special cases for children, we're working on them. We have a story of a mother being deported and a child staying at a residential facility here, and not in a facility but taken by a family. And the mother came here, she took the child, and she came back after several years of the child staying in Russia. We know about such cases, we'll work on them. If you have documents, it will be great. Some cases where we can participate. Yulia Nazarova is my counselor on all the legal issues. Please show yourself. You will be able to discuss with her all that later. Sakura, Japan. Many things have been told about Ukraine today, but a few moments I would like to precise about Ukrainian children. You are talking about protection, but your opponents are talking about taking away. Why are the same actions interpreted in such different ways? And is there any reason to consider your actions justified, even in case children and their parents are not happy about your actions? The first question, we understand that it's political propaganda and there's information war, and children are the weapon reflected in the hearts of all people. A tear of a child is always touching and does not leave anyone indifferent. Regarding deportation, forced deportation, how do you imagine that? A child taken by servicemen, by a parent, and taken by force to Russia? I imagine that in that way. But that is not the case. There is not one case of forced deportation. regarding our actions, we consider them legal, as when a child is neglected, he does not have parents, we should save him from shellings, provide him an opportunity of safe living, medical services, education, and that's normal. I think no one will have questions here. But if there are people who claim this child, saying their relatives or parents, I have spoken today a lot about how we do that, and we're open here. If there are thousands of deported children, somewhere there should be thousands of parents looking for those children, but we are all adults. You have been left without a child. Child is in the middle of nowhere, but we are in the information age. Where are all those thousands of parents? Just show them to me. I have seen one mother in the Security Council. We were working with her back then because her daughter was here with her aunt, not by herself deported, but with her aunt. The mother whose daughter left to Russia with an aunt, and then there were difficulties, a conflict, and the girl ended up in a residential facility. The grandmother came back. She took the daughter. We gave her a phone as a present. We kissed her. We accompanied her. No problems. But then they returned to Ukraine, and you heard their words. So without proof, it can be spoken without end. I can write you many names, Ivanov, Petrov, but where are the justifications that he actually exists? He is on the territory of the Russian Federation. Where are people searching for him? We're all grown-ups. Let us use our brain. There are cases on which we work. But if you speak in general words, there are thousands of deported children. What can I say? Ukraine just demonstrated one case, just one, on the international scene. If they show in the media they have a family, they are looking for a child, the child is in Russia, the situation is so and so, I will not say a word. These are facts confirming that that is the case. But when it is without proof, all of my office is just the biggest share of work of our office. Because we fight those fakes, those attacks. And we face many difficulties with regard to fears by parents and volunteers who face obstacles to their legal work. These are our principles. Legal and prompt work. So, dear colleagues, let us work. I insist we can even work together. Thank you. And ABC, would you like to ask a question? Yes, you can speak louder. No, just try. You have turned it on. Thank you very much. Of course, I have repeating questions, but we have grown accustomed to that. Adoption by Russian families of children transported from Ukrainian territories after the beginning of the special military operation. Is there some renewed statistics on those children, on the children residing in those families? Have there been any requests by the Ukrainian side to return children who are under custody or guardianship? And how are they resolved in this case? We do not have adoption here. It's a very important fact. Because the adoption implies that the child becomes just a blood relative. We have only guardianship and custody, which is looking after a child, taking care of him, If there are some relatives or parents, in a prompt manner, the child is passed on to them. It's just one of the points of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, or the priorities here. The statistics is the same, but I will not name them Ukrainian children because they were on the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. And we were addressed by the heads of those republics, asked to evacuate them from facilities. And after the recognition by the Russian Federation, after the referendum, they became part of a bigger country. We consider them Russian children. They are in families. There are many disputes about just one group, the Mariupol group, taken to us for treatment and rehabilitation. And one of my sons is from that group. I took him under custody to my family. As we are transparent to a maximum extent, there were requests on 2 children, only 2, and we are working on them. One of them is with the family, brother and sister. The mother is in the EU, in an EU country, and she claims the return of one of the children because the elder girl is not a minor and she does not want to leave Russia. We have spoken to the mother. One moment is ethical. She left the child in danger, took other children, left him, and the boy spoke about it. And the second point, mother not wanting to contact. She says, "Oh, just transport the child to me. I will not go to you." It's not some motherly stance, I think. As soon as the mother is ready to work with us via official channel and in a human way, if a child is not against the return to his mother, but he is well in his foster family, he does not face some difficulties there. And the second case, one girl who found her blood relative sister. She is also in a foster family, but in Ukraine. The girl is here in Russia and her sister is in Ukraine. We were ready to organize telecommunication for the girls, for them to talk, because before that they saw each other, but the foster parents just disappeared and do not contact us. So we are waiting for that. So these are 2 cases we have revealed. We work with other families. We visit them, visit the families. I visit those families, and we see what is necessary, what are their needs. So now the children are in the families where they have been placed. Many of them have entered the universities in Russia and lead an adult life. Do you have a question? Because I just see a blank white notebook. Hello? Some case Japan. Hello, Madam Lvova-Belova. Regarding small Ukrainian citizens and the DPR children deported from the area of hostilities to residential facilities. In spring, you talk about the possibility for journalists to meet them, if I remember right. And I would like to ask you to organize such a meeting. Yes, last time we spoke about that, and some journalists had that opportunity. We have several families who agree to that, but we see constant attacks from Ukraine in social media and personal data posted with threats. We understand that not every family will be ready to openly demonstrate themselves, to demonstrate their children. But there are brave people who participate in many activities, so we can organize that visit for you. We also engage journalists in the day after tomorrow summer camp sessions, where children from the new regions come in order to make good use of their time to determine their future profession, their future university. And that's usually interesting for journalists. They come with pleasure and will not make any obstacles. You have said the day after tomorrow. Have I misheard? No, it's the name of summer camp sessions. Because we say that the day after tomorrow comes already today, and we should get ready for that. It's just our philosophy. How do we get there? So let us just provide you a contact, my press service. You can approach him and discuss further interaction. Thank you for your question. Colleagues? So the last one. NBC News. Today there was news that the return of Ukrainian children via Qatar mediatorship, Qatar diplomats in Moscow, and one child was on his way home through Estonia. Could you just speak in detail about that mechanism? It was the Reuters agency today. There was a briefing in Qatar embassy. I have said that we interact with Qatar. They act as a third party. They try to find out some details, and now they accompany from beginning to the end the process of reunification. And one of the cases is about a grandmother and a grandchild. It was with the mediatorship of Qatar, with their support, and I hope our partnership will go on. Dear colleagues, we would like to end our briefing of Madam Lvova-Belova.